Let me guess. You're somewhere in your late 20s, maybe early 30s, and you feel like you're redoing okay, but also like you're quietly falling behind. You're working, paying bills, maybe even saving a little. On the surface, everything looks fine. But then you scroll through social media or talk to an old friend, and suddenly you realize some people seem way ahead. Not just earning more, but calmer, more confident, less stressed about money. And what's scary is that it doesn't feel like they're reworking that much harder than you. If you've ever thought, did I miss something? Or why does it feel like the gap is getting wider every year? This video is going to hit close to home. My name is Brian, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people who start in similar places end up in completely different financial realities. If you're someone who feels like you're running hard but not pulling ahead, especially in your late 20s or early 30s, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're talking about the wealth gap that quietly forms in your late 20s. And why, for most people, it never fully closes. Here's what most people believe. They think wealth is mostly about how smart you are, how hard you work, or how much you earn later in life. And look, those things matter. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Timing matters more than talent for long-term wealth. And the most important timing window isn't your teens or your early 20s. It's your late 20s, when habits solidify, life choices compound, and paths quietly diverge. This is where it gets really interesting. Your late 20s are usually when three things happen at the same time. Your income starts to stabilize, your lifestyle starts to lock in, and your financial behaviors become default, according to the Federal Reserve. The median net worth gap between people who consistently save and invest in their 20s versus those who delay begins widening dramatically by age 30 and accelerates every decade after. Not because one group suddenly becomes smarter, but because compounding finally has time to work. Around your late 20s, people unknowingly split into two groups. Group 1 builds margin. They save consistently, invest early, and keep fixed costs reasonable. Group 2 lives closer to the edge. Upgrade their lifestyle as their income rises, delay investing, and assume they'll just catch up later. Both groups may earn similar incomes. Both may feel fine at the time, but the outcomes couldn't be more different. Let's put some numbers to this to make it real. Person A starts investing $500 a month at age 27 and earns a modest 7% return. Person B waits until age 35 to do the exact same thing. By age 60, Person A ends up with roughly $1.1 million, while Person B ends up with around $500,000. Same monthly contribution, same return. The only difference was 8 years. The gap never closes, no matter how hard Person B tries later. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I'll just invest more later. And here's the frustrating truth. Most people don't. Lifestyle inflation eats the extra income. Responsibilities grow. Risk tolerance drops. Psychologically, catching up feels overwhelming. Behavioral economists call this present bias. Consistently underestimate how hard future discipline will be. So later rarely comes in the way people expect. Here's what most people don't realize. Once financial paths diverge, psychology reinforces the gap. People who build early momentum feel confident, patient, and calm during downturns. People who fall behind feel pressure, urgency, and fear. That emotional difference leads to different decisions, which widens the gap even further. Confidence compounds just like money does. This is what makes the late 20s wealth gap so dangerous. You don't feel it forming. Everyone looks similar on the surface. Same apartments, same cars, same vacations. But under the hood, one person is building assets, while another is building obligations. The consequences don't show up for years, until suddenly they're impossible to ignore. Look, career success matters, but it's not the equalizer people think it is. Plenty of high earners fall into the delayed wealth trap. They assume income will solve everything, so they delay building good financial systems. And when their income plateaus, as it does for most people, they're left with high fixed costs and little flexibility. Meanwhile, moderate earners who built systems early quietly pull ahead. This is where it gets uncomfortable. By your late 30s and 40s, the wealth gap doesn't just exist, it defines your options. One group can take risks, change careers, weather downturns, and help family. The other feels locked in, not because they failed, but because they didn't get that early momentum. And reversing that gap requires an extreme discipline that few can sustain long enough. I've watched this happen in real life. Two friends graduate, earn similar incomes, and live similar lives. One starts investing early, keeps expenses stable, and ignores lifestyle pressure. The other delays, upgrades, and assumes time is on their side. 10 years later, the difference isn't subtle. It's freedom versus anxiety, options versus obligations. And the scary part is that neither one felt like they were making huge decisions at the time. Now, here's the good news, the part most people don't expect. If you're still in your late 20s or early 30s, this window isn't closed yet, but it is narrowing. Momentum still matters more than magnitude at this stage. Consistent actions now outperform dramatic efforts later. This is the last phase where time can do most of the heavy lifting for you. So what are the actionable steps to avoid the gap? First, lock your lifestyle below your income and keep it there. Second, automate your investing. Consistency beats motivation every time. Third, prioritize assets over appearances. Fourth, avoid high fixed costs that limit your flexibility. And finally, measure progress annually, not emotionally. Wealth is built quietly, not dramatically. And if you're watching this thinking, I'm already past my late 20s, this isn't about regret, it's about understanding leverage. The principle still applies, but the strategy shifts. You focus more on efficiency, margin, and protecting what you've built. The mistake is pretending timing never mattered. It does, but action still matters more than guilt. Look, the wealth gap that forms in your late 20s isn't caused by one big mistake. It's caused by small decisions repeated during a narrow window most people daren't even realize exists. This isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to wake you up. Because if you understand this early enough, you can be on the right side of that gap, quietly, consistently, and without burning yourself out. If this video helped you see your timeline more clearly, hit the like button. It helps more than you think. Subscribe for more real-world breakdowns of how money actually behaves. Comment below. What decade of life are you in right now? See you in the next one.